chosen one, I know exactly how tired you are right now. You have been waiting for the page to turn, for the season to change, for that breakthrough you have been praying and working toward for what feels like an eternity. And I know that in this very moment, something has appeared in front of you that looks exactly like the long-awaited answer. It might be a sudden financial opportunity that promises to wipe away your stress overnight. It might be a rush of attention from someone who makes you feel seen for the first time in years. Or perhaps it is a career shortcut, a sudden chance to jump ahead of the line and finally prove your worth to everyone who doubted you. Your mind is racing, your heart is pounding, and every impulse inside of you is screaming to grab it before it disappears. But I want you to take a deep breath and step back. Now, what you are looking at is not a door you are meant to walk through. It is an illusion. We often fall prey to what is called the shiny object syndrome, the magnetic pull towards something new, exciting, and instantly gratifying that pulls us completely off our true long-term path. Spiritually, we can call it the beautiful trap. It is a distraction perfectly disguised as a blessing. We have been conditioned to believe that we must seize every single opportunity that comes our way. But the truth is that not every open door leads to a room you belong in. Some doors are left open simply to test your focus, to see if you will settle for a quick fix when you have been promised a lasting legacy. You might be feeling incredibly frustrated, wondering why you always have to be the one who waits while everyone else seems to be sprinting ahead. You might even think that your breakthrough is delayed because you are doing something wrong or because you have been forgotten. I need you to hear this truth deep in your spirit. Your blessing is not being delayed. It is being protected. You are being held back from the temporary because you are being prepared for the sustainable. If you reach for that shiny, perfect-looking opportunity right now, you will inherit a situation you are not yet equipped to maintain. You will get the temporary prize, but you will also get the anxiety, the exhaustion, and the chaos that comes with forcing a lock before you have been handed the right key. Stay grounded, because what you are being asked to walk away from today is not a loss. It is the exact decision that will preserve your future. It is deeply human to want the pain of waiting to end. We live in a society that worships speed and convenience. We are surrounded by a hustle culture that tells us if we are not moving fast, we are falling behind. We expect everything on demand, from packages arriving on our doorstep within hours to swiping right to find instant connection. And without even realizing it, we carry this exact same expectation into our spiritual lives and our personal growth. We expect the universe to operate like a vending machine, dispensing our dreams the exact moment we insert our effort. But true spiritual growth, and the kind of lasting success that does not ultimately destroy you, never operates on a microwave timer. It operates on the ancient, steady rhythms of agriculture. Think about the farmer. A seed does not become a towering oak tree overnight. It must first be buried in the dark, silent earth, breaking open and establishing deep roots long before it ever breaks the surface. Yet, when we are planted in that dark, silent earth, panic begins to set in. This is where the fear of missing out takes a tight hold on our hearts. We look at our age, we look at our bank accounts, we scroll through the curated highlight reels of our peers, and a quiet terror whispers that time is running out. We reach for the wrong things because we subconsciously believe there is a scarcity of grace. We fear that if we do not grab this one fleeting opportunity right now, God will forget about us, or the universe will never send another chance. That fear convinces us that we have to step in and play the hero of our own story, forcing doors open that were lovingly meant to remain shut for a little while longer. But I want you to consider the heavy cost of forcing the lock. When you let impatience make your decisions, you do not just get the shiny reward you were so desperately chasing. You also get all the hidden weight attached to it. When you force an outcome before its proper time, you step into a reality that you have not yet been prepared to carry. If you rush into a relationship simply to cure your loneliness, you inherit the emotional chaos of two unhealed people trying to fix each other. If you hustle your way into a position of power before your character has been refined, the immense pressure of that position will eventually crush you. You get the blessing prematurely, and because you lack the deep roots required to sustain it, the blessing turns into a burden. The impatience tricks you into trading the magnificent masterpiece that is being carefully painted for you in exchange for a quick, messy sketch. By choosing to step back and trust the timing, you are choosing to let your roots grow deep enough to hold the tremendous weight of the beautiful life that is coming. We hear the phrase, "trust your inner voice," or listen to God thrown around constantly. But rarely does anyone sit down and explain how to actually do it. In the middle of a chaotic life, the inside of our minds can sound like a crowded room where everyone is shouting at once. There is the loud, demanding voice of your ego. There is the trembling whisper of your anxiety. There is the desperate plea of your exhaustion. And somewhere underneath all of that noise is the steady, quiet truth. So, how do you tune out the static and recognize the guidance that is actually meant for you? You have to learn the delicate art of discernment. It is not a mystical superpower reserved for a chosen few. It is a daily spiritual practice of applying a gentle, honest filter to every opportunity that demands your attention. The most profound way to test the voice you are hearing is to examine the energy it brings into your body and your spirit. When an opportunity is rooted in distraction or born out of your own impatience, it will almost always carry a frantic, chaotic energy. It will make you feel as though a timer is ticking down. It whispers that if you do not act right this very second, your whole life will fall apart, and you will be left behind. That urgent, breathless pressure is never the voice of divine direction. It is the voice of fear dressed up as ambition. The right path, on the other hand, carries a profound, underlying peace. Even if the steps you are being asked to take are intimidating, and even if they require immense courage to step into the unknown, there is a quiet anchor within you. You will feel a deep, steady knowing that you are exactly where you are supposed to be, breathing easily, without the desperate need to rush. Beyond the energy it brings, you must also look closely at who the opportunity is designed to serve. Does this new relationship, career move, or sudden shift align with the healed version of who you are becoming? Or does it cleverly cater to the old, unhealed version of who you used to be? Sometimes, the shiny object in front of us is incredibly tempting because it feeds a lingering insecurity. It promises to give us the external validation, the quick status, or the familiar comfort that our past trauma has been desperately craving. But you have worked too hard on your healing to step backward into shoes you have already outgrown. True direction will always align with your core values and your long-term purpose. It will challenge you to step into your wholeness and build a lasting legacy, rather than inviting you to shrink back into the familiar patterns of your brokenness. Finally, true discernment requires us to step out of the shadows. When we are being lured away by an illusion, our human instinct is almost always to isolate ourselves. We keep our plans hidden from our mentors, our wise friends, and our spiritual community because, deep down, a part of us knows that their clear eyes will see right through the trap. We fear they will lovingly talk us out of the very thing our impatience wants so badly. But true, Aligned direction rarely requires you to sneak out the back door in secret. It thrives in the light. When you are walking the right path, you do not shy away from the wisdom of those who have walked ahead of you. If you find yourself hiding your moves from the people who genuinely love you and want the best for your future, it is a sign that you need to pause, step back, and listen a little more closely to the silence. Throughout history, the greatest heartbreaks have often been born not from a lack of faith, but from an inability to wait. We see this beautifully and tragically illustrated in the ancient story of Abraham and Sarah. They were given a profound promise that they would have a child and build a legacy that would outlast them. But as the years dragged on and their youth faded, the quiet agony of waiting became too heavy to bear. Convinced that time had run out, they decided to help God out. Sarah offered her handmaid, Hagar, to Abraham to force the promise into existence on their own timeline. A child was born, but that single rushed decision fractured their family, brought immense heartbreak into their home, and sparked a generational conflict. The true promise still arrived exactly when it was meant to, but their desperate attempt to speed up the process only created unnecessary pain. They got a result, but they compromised the peace of the blessing. We do not have to look back thousands of years to see this exact same pattern playing out. It happens in our own lives every single day. Imagine someone who has been desperately searching for a way out of a stagnant career. They are exhausted from the endless search, tired of feeling overlooked, and terrified about their future. Suddenly, a job offer lands on the table. On paper, it looks flawless. The salary is incredibly high, and the title carries deep prestige. But underneath that shiny surface, something feels deeply wrong. The interviews felt cold, the culture seemed toxic, and a quiet voice inside whispers to walk away. But driven by fear, exhaustion, and the desire to just be done with the waiting, they take it anyway. 6 months later, the money is not enough to cover the cost of their ruined mental health, their shattered peace, and the absolute burnout that has taken over their life. They force the lock. Now imagine the alternative. Imagine the person who feels that same fear, looks at that same shiny offer, and bravely chooses to walk away. They endure 3 more agonizing months of waiting. It is deeply uncomfortable and it is lonely. But then, quietly and without force, the right door opens. A role appears that not only meets their financial needs, but honors their gifts, respects their boundaries, and aligns perfectly with their true calling. That is the reward of trusting the timeline. This is why we must completely change how we view the moments when things do not work out the way we planned. Rejection is not a punishment. It is profound, divine redirection. When you are told to step back, or when a door is firmly shut in your face, it feels like a painful denial. But that no is actually a loving barrier keeping you from wandering off your path. It is a higher wisdom whispering, "Not this, because I am carefully preparing something far greater than your current perspective can see." Your willingness to endure the empty space is the very thing that ensures you will be ready to embrace the true reward when it finally arrives. There is a profound misunderstanding about what it actually means to wait. When we hear the instruction to step back, to pause, or to hold our position, our minds immediately picture a sterile waiting room. We imagine ourselves sitting passively on a couch, simply watching the clock and hoping a miracle suddenly falls through the ceiling. This passive view of waiting is exactly why so many people fall for the illusion of an overnight shortcut or an instant fix. We want to bypass the empty space because it feels like a punishment. But I want you to completely redefine this season in your mind. The waiting room is not a holding cell. It is a workshop, and waiting is one of the most active, intentional phases of your entire life. Think of it as building your capacity. We often pray for massive breakthroughs, but we rarely pause to ask ourselves if we are actually equipped to carry them. If you are praying for a wildly successful business, do you currently have the discipline, the focus, and the resilience to manage it without it completely taking over your peace? If you are desperately waiting for a deeply healthy, lifelong marriage, do you possess the emotional maturity to sustain it? Or are you still reacting out of your old wounds? The waiting season is a gift of time. Specifically designed for you to build the internal muscle required to carry the heavy weight of your future blessings. You are being given the quiet space to study, to heal, and to become the person who can step into that new reality and actually keep it. While you are doing this internal heavy lifting, you must also anchor yourself in radical gratitude. It is incredibly easy to become bitter or cynical when you feel like you are standing still while the rest of the world is running forward. But gratitude is far more than just a polite spiritual concept. It is a psychological tool that physically rewires your brain. It tunes your mind to scan your environment for genuine, solid opportunities, rather than desperately grasping at illusions. When you practice deep thankfulness for the small and quiet blessings you already hold in your hands today, you completely strip away the desperation that makes those shiny traps look so appealing. You stop operating from a place of panic and begin moving from a calm place of abundance. Finally, use this sacred, quiet time to heal the exact triggers that tempted you to rush in the first place. Sit gently with yourself and honestly ask why that shiny distraction looked so beautiful to you just a few moments ago. What deep insecurity was it secretly promising to soothe? Was it a fear of being left behind? A fear of never being enough? When you do the quiet, unglamorous work of healing those deep-rooted fears, you become immune to the very things that used to throw you off course. You become unshakable. So the next time you feel that gentle nudge telling you to step back, do not hang your head in defeat. You are not being ignored or forgotten. You are being refined, strengthened, and beautifully prepared for exactly what you have been asking for. The word chosen gets tossed around so casually today. Often, it is used to puff up our pride, whispering that we are part of an elite club destined for a life of effortless luxury, while everyone else simply struggles. It is incredibly easy to fall into that ego trap. To believe that being chosen means you are somehow superior or exempt from the hard, painful realities of life. But I want to offer you a much deeper, more grounded truth. Being chosen is not a VIP ticket to an easy life. It is not an invitation to look down on those around you. It is an incredibly beautiful but very heavy responsibility. When you are chosen for a specific purpose, you are actually being held to a much higher standard of discipline. It means you simply cannot do what everyone else is doing. You cannot take the easy shortcuts that seem to work so well for other people. You cannot compromise your integrity for a quick win. And you cannot react out of bitterness just because you feel completely justified in the moment. You have to endure the difficult, unglamorous process of being refined. Because the calling on your life is not just about your own success. There are people you have not even met yet, whose future freedom, healing, and breakthroughs are directly tied to your obedience and your endurance today. You are walking a harder, steeper path because you are learning how to lead others out of the valley, and a guide cannot afford to skip the treacherous parts of the mountain. Because this path requires such deep focus and unwavering integrity, It almost always brings with it a profound sense of isolation. I know the heavy ache of that loneliness. I know there are days when you look around and wonder why your circle is getting smaller, why people seem to misunderstand your careful decisions, and why you can no longer relate to the casual conversations you used to enjoy. I want to validate that ache in your heart, but I also want to reassure you that this isolation is not abandonment. It is a necessary cocoon phase. You are being intentionally drawn away from the chaotic noise of the crowd so that the distracting opinions of others can finally be stripped away. In that quiet, sacred space, you finally have the room to hear the true, unmistakable voice of your calling. You are not being left behind. You are simply being hidden, protected, and prepared until your wings are fully ready to carry the weight of what comes next. There is a moment coming in your life that will make every tear, every quiet doubt, and every long night of waiting make absolute, beautiful sense. It is the moment when the right door finally opens, not because you kicked it down, but because it unlocks effortlessly at your gentle touch. When that true breakthrough arrives, you will not feel the frantic, breathless pressure of having to rush before it disappears. Instead, you will feel a wave of profound, grounding relief. As you step into that new season, you will look back at all the shiny traps you bravely walked away from, all the rejections that stung your pride, and you will smile with deep gratitude. You will finally understand exactly why you had to pass on what was merely good in order to make room for what was truly meant for you. This is the great secret that the world of endless hustle and overnight shortcuts will never understand. The true miracle of your life is not some hollow, instant magic trick that promises to hand you the world without any effort, healing, or growth. The genuine miracle is the breathtaking alignment of a life lived with intentionality. It is the profound experience of looking back at your journey and seeing how perfectly the messy, seemingly broken pieces fit together. It is the realization that your faith, your quiet patience, and your relentless commitment to alignment over impulse actually built a foundation that no storm can shake. You did not just survive the waiting room. You were beautifully transformed by it. If you are standing in that quiet space right now, struggling to figure out if you are in a season of waiting or a season of building, I want to help you tune out the noise and find your clarity. In the description below, I have created a free discernment journal for you. It is a simple, gentle tool filled with prompts to help you test the opportunities in your life, quiet your anxiety, and hear the steady, authentic voice of your true calling. Download it, take a deep breath, and give yourself the grace to find your footing. And if this message brought peace to your spirit today, please subscribe and share your biggest takeaway in the comments. You are not walking this path alone, and we are building a community rooted in deep truth, not rushed illusions. Keep your heart open. Trust the pace of your own beautiful journey, and know that the most magnificent chapter of your life is still being written.